Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Since Day One. Before we get into this R.Kelly video update today, you guys, on day 7, week 2 of the R.Kelly Chicago trial, go ahead and like the video, comment down below, and if you are new, smash that subscribe button to take flight with us.
Fake love, I don't need it, you can keep it as a fact. I had to make up my mind. I took that weight on my shoulder. I done been down.
This is only day 7, week 2 of the R.Kelly Chicago federal trial, y'all. And it's really been all over the place. Y'all know I don't support R.Kelly, and I've been saying for a long time that I just knew he was guilty because that's just my opinion, though. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Even R.Kelly's fans and supporters I call the P-hivers. R.Kelly's fans and supporters feel as if he is innocent and he doesn't deserve to be in the position that he's in, and that they need to basically dismiss the whole case and let him go free. R. Kelly's fans, who have wives and families and children of their own, declare that anybody on the internet who does not support R. Kelly is basically public enemy number 1. Y'all, I have had so many people coming after me. I don't even know these people. All I do is read tweets. And I guess long story short, y'all, is that I can't make everybody happy. And I apologize to anybody out there who just happens to not like me because my opinion is different from yours. I also wanted to thank my supporters who have been here with me since day 1 and enjoy what we do over here on this channel while we make it make sense for ourselves. Day 7 was absolutely all over the place, you guys, and I'm gonna just start there. And also, in my opinion, Derrel McDavid and Charles Freeman need to get just as much time as Robert. The second week of R. Kelly's Chicago federal trial continued Tuesday with cross-examination of Lawrence Berkland, a lie detector test administrator, as prosecutors outlined an alleged conspiracy to cover up R. Kelly's alleged misconduct before his Cook County criminal trial. Lawrence Berkland first took the stand late Monday and said he was hired by an attorney in August 2001 to test someone about whether he had made copies of a certain videotape and whether it was the only videotape he had. Berkland gave the unidentified man 3 tests, and he passed all 3, he said. The test subject was relatively uncooperative at first, declining even to give Berkland his name. But when Berkland told him that the attorney said that the subject would get $200,000 if he passed, the man grew more compliant. Berkland said Tuesday on cross-examination from an attorney representing co-defendant Milton Brown. Berkland has said on Monday on direct examination that at one point the test subject pulled a VHS tape out of his pants and left it on the table while he used the restroom. The person who hired him had also arranged for the same test subject to undergo a polygraph, Berkland said Monday. Tuesday morning, polygraph administrator John Herlock testified remotely from Missouri that he was also hired in August 2001 to test someone about whether they had any other copies of a certain tape. The test subject also declined to give Herlock his name or signature. He gave me a moniker. He told me to just call him Showtime, Herlock said, so that's what I wrote on the form. Herlock also never got any information about what was on the tape in question. He was directed to refer to it only as the performance tape, he said. Herlock does not recall actually giving the subject a polygraph test, he said. If the man refused to sign his form, Herlock probably wouldn't have tested him, he said. It seems to me like he just got upset over the whole process and wanted to stop, he said. Defense attorneys objected to the speculation, and Herlock acknowledged that yes, he was speculating. It was just so long ago, he said. R. Kelly and co-defendants Brown and Derrel McDavid are accused of participating in an extensive scheme to cover up R. Kelly's misdeeds. The centerpiece witness Monday was a mother whose young daughter was allegedly assaulted by R. Kelly on videotape in the 1990s. She testified that R. Kelly threatened them and sent them out of town after allegations first surfaced more than 20 years ago. The woman who is being referred to under the pseudonym Susan echoed some of the explosive claims that her daughter Jane made in court last week. A watershed moment in the R. Kelly saga after years of denying any misconduct by the R&B superstar. But Susan's testimony, unlike Jane's, was disjointing and confusing at times, and she contradicted her daughter on a few key points. On day 7 of R. Kelly's federal trial in Chicago, about to get underway, presiding Judge Harry Leinenweber working through some housekeeping issues first. He reminds everyone that the trial proceedings will end early today at 2 p.m. Federal prosecutors say that they plan to call another of R. Kelly's alleged victims to the stand this Thursday or Friday. Similar to Jane, who testified last week, this person will also testify under a pseudonym. Trial kicking off today with defense's cross-examination of Lawrence Berkland, a former Kansas City police officer and a voice-stressed lie detector test analyst. Berkland said Monday that he was hired in 2001 to administer a lie detector test to a man from Chicago over whether they had made copies of a videotape. Berkland denies any familiarity with Milton Brown, R. Kelly's former personal assistant and his current co-defendant in this federal trial. Berkland says today that the man he was hired to give a lie detector test to was initially uncooperative. He became more amendable, Berkland says, after the test subject was offered $200,000 if he passed the test. Berkland denies that incentive would affect the results of a lie detector test, but also admits there are very few established standards for lie detector tests in general. Berkland also bluntly tells defense that he was fired from the Kansas City Police Department prior to administering this lie detector test in 2001 for stealing a handgun from the department's evidence inventory. Ex-Kansas City police officer Lawrence Berkland has concluded his testimony in R. Kelly's federal trial. Prosecution is now calling its next witness, who is testifying remotely. Technical difficulties caused a delay, and we may need to get IT in the courtroom. The next witness testifying remotely is John Herlock, a polygrapher and retired police officer from the Missouri city of Lee's Summit, a suburb on the outskirts of Kansas City. Despite being retired, Herlock said he still sometimes conducts polygraph tests, mostly for defense attorneys. Herlock said he was hired in 2001 to administer a polygraph test in Kansas City to a man over whether that man had made copies of a videotape. He says he met with 4 men in a KC hotel for the test. 3 were black males, he said, and 1 was a white male. Prosecution suggests that the white male at the meeting was Jack Palladino, a deceased private investigator whom R. Kelly allegedly hired to find and bury evidence of his alleged misconduct. But Herlock says he isn't sure if the white man was Palladino. Herlock also says that the black man to whom he gave the polygraph test in 2001 refused to give his name, asking Herlock only to refer to him as Showtime. Prosecution produces records made by Herlock in 2001 relating to the Kansas City polygraph. Jack Palladino is mentioned by name in the paperwork. Herlock also said Showtime refused to sign the examinee's signature portion of the polygraph document. In lieu of giving a proper signature, Showtime wrote, "I will not sue the company that gives me this polygraph test" on Herlock's polygraph documentation from 2001. Herlock is now saying he can't recall if he even ended up administering the polygraph test to Showtime, as Showtime refused to sign the documentation. It might indicate that he was forced to do it, Herlock says. As Herlock reaches into his memory, defense objects for speculation. Herlock agrees defense is right. "I am speculating. It's been so long," he says. And with that, prosecution wraps up its initial questioning. Defense up for cross-examination. Herlock again demurring over whether the white man he saw at the 2001 polygraph meeting in Kansas City was in fact Jack Palladino. He assumes it was Palladino, Herlock says, because he was the only white guy at the meeting. Herlock tells defense the white guy assumed Palladino didn't tell me what the tape was about, just it was about some entertainer. He said the assumed Palladino wanted to know if Showtime made any copies of the tape. R. Kelly's defense team now questioning why Herlock was brought in for this case, when by Herlock's own admission he doesn't remember much about the 2001 polygraph meeting and didn't want to be interviewed for the trial. Herlock also confirms to R. Kelly's attorney that he didn't know who Kelly was in 2001, that he never listened to R. Kelly's music, and that he never saw the alleged tape and never knew what was supposed to be on it. Defense wraps up its questioning and Herlock is off the stand. Next witness is Charles Freeman, another Kansas City man who was allegedly hired by Jack Palladino to hunt down any videotapes related to R. Kelly. Freeman, while in the music merchandising business, says he became friends with R. Kelly in the early mid-90s during the course of working with the singer on his tours. "I had a relationship with Rob and we used to chop it up." Freeman says that he met R. Kelly's former assistant Milton Brown on one of R. Kelly's tours between 1993 and 1996. He can't remember the exact tour. Freeman said he spoke to R. Kelly in 2001 to recover some tapes he had lost. Freeman says R. Kelly told him his then manager Derrel McDavid and a private investigator would give him a call. A few days later, Freeman said McDavid and Jack Palladino gave him a call. Derrel McDavid said it was a performance tape that they really needed to recover, Freeman says. If he got it back, Freeman adds, McDavid said they would take care of me. Freeman said that he met with Palladino and McDavid in a hotel in Kansas City shortly thereafter and brought several associations with him to the meeting for protection. Judge Lenin Weber abruptly stops questioning there to take a 15-minute break. Prosecution resumes questioning Charles Freeman in the R.Kelly federal trial. Freeman says he offered to help recover R.Kelly's lost videotapes for $1 million. After Kelly's former manager, Derrel McDavid, allegedly asked what Freeman would charge for his assistance. When Freeman met with McDavid and private investigator Jack Palladino in Kansas City in 2001, he says Palladino told him, well, first of all, we're not paying you $1 million. To which Freeman responded then he would not help them recover the tapes. Freeman said a shouting match followed the disagreement and that the initial meeting fell apart. Cooler heads later prevailed, and 3 or 4 days later, Freeman said he again met with David and Palladino about recovering R.Kelly's lost videotapes. Freeman says at this second meeting he gave McDavid and Palladino a contract saying he would help recover the tapes in exchange for $1 million. Palladino refused to sign, saying he would instead send Freeman a contract. The contract that Palladino offered Freeman instead was for $100,000 plus $40,000 in expenses. Freeman said he eventually signed this contract after receiving a promise from McDavid that he would eventually receive $1 million. McDavid allegedly told Freeman it wouldn't be wise to have written a $1 million contract to find videotapes. The contract agreement for reward and expenses was signed by Palladino and Freeman in August of 2001. Freeman said the contract tasked him with recovering an original performance tape belonging to R.Kelly, but that he didn't discuss the specific contents of the tape with McDavid or Palladino. The contract also included a non-disclosure clause preventing Freeman from discussing the contract with outside individuals. A couple of days after signing this contract, Freeman said he traveled to Atlanta, Georgia with 2 associates to try and recover the lost tape. They arrived at a residential address provided by Palladino. Freeman drove to a house in Georgia a few days later. A young lady came to the door and I said, I'm here to recover them MFing tapes that y'all stole from R.Kelly. Them were my exact words, Freeman said. Freeman got 3 tapes from the house, then went to Walmart and bought blank tapes and a VCR recorder, he said. 1 tape was a Disney movie, another was some kind of family video. The third was a tape of R.Kelly with a young lady having relations, Freeman said. What age did the female appear to be to you? Prosecutors asked. Young, he responds. Freeman immediately made 3 or 4 copies of that tape, he says, because he didn't trust McDavid or Palladino to pay him. He still had copies of the tape as of early 2019, he testified. In early 2019, Freeman's attorney reached out and said the police was coming to get me because my name came up that I was holding a child tape for R.Kelly. Freeman gave the tapes to his attorney who gave them to law enforcement, he said. According to R.Kelly defense attorney Jennifer Bonjean's opening statement, Freeman's attorney was none other than the presidential hopeful turned convicted felon Michael Avenatti. Did Freeman ever tell police about the child tapes after he saw the tapes? No, he responds, because the police wasn't going to pay me $1 million. Freeman met McDavid and Palladino in a hotel conference room, and after a heated dispute, he put the tape down on the table. McDavid picked it up and he said, I looked back and I told them they better keep their word and left, Freeman said. McDavid and Palladino and Freeman then again met at the same hotel in Kansas City along with one of Freeman's associates that he brought along as muscle, Derrel said. Let us see what you recovered, Freeman says. Freeman says that Palladino told him that he wouldn't get paid until they had confirmed the tape's contents and returned it to his client, R.Kelly. This led to another shouting match, Freeman said, in which Freeman snatched back the tape and began leaving. The third tape, though, Freeman said, was the one he thought R.Kelly wanted back. I observed R.Kelly with a young lady having relations, urinating on her and putting lotion on her face. Freeman said the young woman in the tape appeared young. Freeman said 2 separate scenes were included on the tape. The same young woman was featured in both scenes, Freeman said. At one point while watching the video, Freeman claims R.Kelly made reference to the girl being under underage. What do you want me to do to this 14-year-old? Freeman said R.Kelly said on the tape. A few days later, Freeman says Palladino and McDavid called him, claiming the tape Freeman handed over was not the original tape. Instead, they told me to meet them at a polygrapher in Mission, Kansas, so that I could take a lie detector test, Freeman says. Freeman says that he took the lie detector test and passed. Freeman said the polygrapher asked him if anyone else had seen the tape, if he had made any copies of the tape, etc. After the test, Freeman said Palladino and McDavid said they would pay him in a few days. A few days later, Freeman said McDavid, Palladino himself, his protection, and another black guy met again at a hotel room. The unknown black man made sure when we came in that we saw he had a gun, and he put it on the bed, Freeman said. Freeman took a polygraph test about the video and passed. He testified later Palladino called and said they knew he had another tape and arranged another meeting for him to turn it over and get paid, Freeman said. Freeman handed over the tape and got a big bag of cash in return. It was not the full $1 million, but they told him he'd get paid out in installments every other year until Rob gets to court, Freeman said. Freeman says at this meeting that he gave another copy of the tape directly to Jack Palladino. The money McDavid and Palladino gave him in return, Freeman says, was only $75,000 in cash, even less than he had stipulated in the initial contract. Freeman filed a lawsuit in 2002 to get the money, a suit he says R.Kelly settled right away for $100,000. In 2003, he reached out to McDavid to get a payment. I walked up to the corner. He gave me some money. That was about $100,000 cash in the bag, Freeman says. In late 2003 or early 2004, McDavid reached out to Freeman again about recovering a different tape. Freeman said, I said, if I got to recover another tape, you got to pay me another $1 million, Freeman said. Derrel said that it was another performance tape. Freeman says, with Lisa Van Allen, Robert, and the young lady on the tape. This sounds like video number 4 of the indictment, which prosecutors have said they do not have and cannot play for jurors. Freeman says he saw a clip of this second video while in a meeting with R.Kelly, Derrel McDavid, and Milton Brown in Chicago. After returning to Kansas City, Freeman said he spoke with another man named Keith Morrell, who said he had a tape in his possession showing R.Kelly engaging in acts with a young girl. Freeman said he made another copy of this tape to try and get more money out of Derrel McDavid by recording the tape playing on TV on his cell phone. I took my phone and put my phone to the TV, Freeman says. He later lost this recording. Freeman got a payout in 2005, but not the payment he believed he was due in 2007. He believed he was supposed to get the balance of what he was owed right before R. Kelly's trial in 2008, he testified. Freeman was following R. Kelly's tour, he testifies. I would pick dates close to Kansas City that I could talk to him and try to get my money from him, and he'd always say, deal with Derrel. Freeman said he doesn't recall getting any money from McDavid in 2007, just before R. Kelly's trial in 2008. Freeman says he threatened McDavid that he was coming to Chicago. In 2008, Freeman says he met with McDavid and R. Kelly at an ice cream room in R. Kelly's Olympia Fields, Illinois home. Freeman described the ice cream room as some kind of ice cream shop in R. Kelly's home. Freeman met alone with R. Kelly in late 2007 or early 2008 at R. Kelly's Olympia Fields mansion to talk about the tape he got in Georgia. He said he wanted to make sure I wasn't working with the police or anything. McDavid later told Freeman he would get the rest of the money right before R. Kelly's trial. Freeman said, you're going to get your money, Chuck. Just trust us on this, Freeman said. McDavid assured him. By the time of R. Kelly's 2008 trial, Freeman says he still had not gotten his payment in full, so he called a bunch of reporters in the middle of the trial and said he was going to hold a press conference. Because I had big information about this case, he said. The next day, Freeman got a call from co-defendant Milton June Brown, who picked him up and handed him a phone. R. Kelly was on the line. R. Kelly said, I know you're not going to do a press conference and do me like this after I gave you my word I was going to pay you, Freeman says. R. Kelly promised him the money but said it was hard to make any moves during the trial, Freeman said. Brown handed him $10,000 as a show of good faith, and Freeman ultimately did not go through with the press conference, he said. Freeman also sued R. Kelly, McDavid, and Brown in 2009 in an effort to get the balance of what he believed he was owed, he says. After a one-on-one with R. Kelly, Freeman said he met one-on-one with McDavid at R. Kelly's pool, where McDavid allegedly asked Freeman to strip naked and get in the pool to make sure he wasn't wearing a wire. Freeman said he took off his shirt but didn't strip. After this poolside meeting, Freeman said McDavid again assured him that he would get his money prior to R. Kelly's 2008 trial. A day later, Freeman said McDavid set up a car meeting to discreetly give Freeman $100,000 in cash and $10,000 straps. McDavid threw a bag of money in my car. He had a brown bag full of money and he threw it through my window, Freeman says. Freeman says R. Kelly promised him he would pay the remainder of the $1 million once the 2008 trial was done and the public's eye was off of him. Freeman said he took their word on it and canceled the press and got over $150,000 as a show of faith in return. When Freeman still didn't get the remainder of his $1 million after R. Kelly was acquitted in his 2008 trial, he filed another civil suit. That suit, Freeman said, was settled for an additional $125,000. As of 2012, Freeman gave up on trying to get the money back. He said last time he talked to McDavid and R. Kelly, he said that as long as the police didn't come after him, he wouldn't tell anyone about anything. And with that, court is adjourned for the day. Cross-examination tomorrow should be very interesting. The defense in their opening statements call Freeman a liar, a con man, an extortionist, a blackmailer, a criminal, and on and on. And I agree. Please leave your thoughts and opinions down below, you guys, and let me know what you think about this entire situation. And I'll make sure to keep y'all updated on day 8, week 2 of the R. Kelly Chicago federal trial. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
So long, sleeping from sofa to sofa. Now I'ma step on these little bitty bitches. Here's some brand new Gucci loafs. Some Gucci walking. I got tired of eating Big Mama's chicken. Now it's business when I walk.